paralyzed in the Situation Room while the generals have their way with her. Right now,
Jesse.
Whoa, Jesse, I don't like that.
But is he wrong? Okay, so let's listen to Claymore defend Jesse Waters' comments. Of course, you need to actually see them in full context, and some people might even argue that they were actually worse in full context. However, like I said at the very beginning of the video, the very first words that came out of my mouth, is he wrong? No, he's not wrong at all. And I'll explain to you guys why that is the case in this video, which, by the way, is going to have a good deal in it. But of course, you guys are going to see why it is that Jesse Waters is 100% correct. Now, before we go any further, let us go ahead and look at this comment one more time.
the president has his most impact. You have a lot of room to maneuver there as commander-in-chief. We don't know who she is. We don't know what she believes. She's going to get paralyzed in the Situation Room while the generals have their way with her. Right now,
Jesse.
Whoa, Jesse, I don't like that.
figuratively,
Take
again,
it back.
have their way with her, control her, not in a sexual way.
They will have their way with her. Not sexually. She'll be pinned down. However, the thing is this right here. While Jesse Waters is correct, and I did not say this before because I did leave a little something out. While he is 100% correct that they will have their way with her, especially seeing how it is that she's a puppet, there is one thing that I did leave out, because sometimes there are different ways of getting what it is that you want or doing what it is that you want. However, I think it's more important that we look once again at Kamala Harris's personality and why it is that she is the way that she is. Now, the minute that this particular comment was posted online, the minute he said this, of course, there was some backlash. And I hope, and as of the time of recording this video, I hope that he's not apologized for it, because he, if anything, should be doubling down and explaining his rationale, which, of course, I'm going to attempt to do now. And I'm pretty sure that I will be able to do this. But the thing is this right here. The minute this comment went viral, people started posting stuff like Jesse Waters is a jerk and he's always been this way and he needs to come off the news, all that type of stuff there. One particular little clip that they shared was one of Jessica Tarloff calling him a jerk. Let me just go ahead and just roll this for you.
For instance, the $25,000 for your down payment, I know that people, the landlords, people are trying to sell their apartments, are going to increase the price by $25,000 there as well. She's acknowledged that it's good for them, and it's also good for the buyer to be able to get on the property ladder. And when she talks about home ownership, which is something that we all aspire to, right, Jesse?
I wasn't paying attention. What did you just say?
You're really an incredible jerk sometimes. Anyway, the point of it is that it makes
Let me
communities
just go ahead and say this. Jessica Tarloff, if you guys know who Jessica Tarloff is not exactly a bright person. Fox News put her up there because obviously she's a lib, she's a Dem, but of course Fox News has got to put these people up there the exact same way that CNN has got to put Scott Jennings up there. However, the thing is this right here. Jessica Tarloff was put there because she's just not a, how do I say this? She's not an offensive looking face. She really and truly is not. I'm not saying that she's like gorgeous or anything. I'm just simply saying that she's not ugly. I mean, there's a lot of people out there. One in particular, Marie Harf, I think is absolutely just ruined. Yeah, I said that. I don't care. If you want to hit the dislike button for me saying that, go right ahead and do so, because I stand my ground. I stand on what I say. The thing is this right here. If you know who Jessica Tarloff is, you see all the reaction videos. There's a reason why it is these videos do in fact exist, because she's not exactly what we call bright. But now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about Kamala. Now, before we get started, make sure you guys please cut the notifications on for this channel so that way you guys are notified when these videos come out. Go ahead and do so in your phones. Please hit the like button, subscribe if you guys are new here. And let's go ahead and get into this. So, why in the world did Jesse Waters say what he said? Why in the world is Jesse Waters correct? Well, I think that there's some insight to this that a lot of people are not picking up on. You see, the Kamala Harris presidential campaign, they're running this campaign on, how do I say, before I was against it, I was for it. Okay, now I'm for it, but I was against it at one point in time. They're running the flip-flopper campaign. Reminds me of 2004, John Kerry. However, it's kind of odd that this is the campaign route they went with, seeing how it is that Donald Trump's campaign manager, Chris LaSavista, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Please excuse me if I butcher it. He was a part of the 2004 Bush campaign that ran against that same John Kerry campaign. He's also the same guy who headed up Swift Boat Veterans, which is kind of odd because Tim Walz, as you guys know, stolen valor. Now, I may do a video at a later date, probably like a look back on John Kerry, his presidential campaign, or at least the controversy that, of course, forced swift boat veterans to actually be formed. I may do that in another video at a later date because I'll probably start doing those video essays at the start of the year because you guys know I got surgeries and stuff going on right now. So I'm kind of like a little bit bogged down, so I'm making these videos right here now. But to me, it just seems kind of odd, kind of funny, the timing, the luck of the draw here, how it is that Trump's campaign manager is getting the same exact campaign that he defeated back in 2004. I'm just simply saying that it just feels to me like some form of dumb luck, but still, though, at the same time, though, as I said before, we're here to talk about why the Jesse Waters was correct. So the thing about flip-floppers, the thing about these people is that they have no actual, how do I say, scruples. They have no real true morals. And a lot of times people or voters who might want to actually support said individual won't actually show up and physically vote for a person because they don't feel that that person is genuine. Speaking of that right there, this is probably the biggest reason why it is that the media is covering for her much, much harder than they did for Obama. And in a lot of ways, Biden. Now, some people have argued that they're not covering harder than they did for Obama, that every now and again you got at least a criticism. But still, though, the fact of the matter is this right here. They put this campaign together just with no other option except for her. So, therefore, the media, while they're wanting an interview or they claim they want an interview, let's all be realistic, they really and truly don't, as Waters explained. And he also went into much, much more detail on this on his 7-minute segment, or the segment that was posted to YouTube this morning from Fox News.
Grew up in Canada and wants to take your guns. She's bluffing. Harris tells us no tax on tips. Just plagiarizes Trump's policy. She and Biden can cut the tax on tips now. Why don't they? When I wake up this morning, I open the paper and I see Kamala wants to build a border wall. Yeah. If she's elected president, Kamala Harris pledges to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on the wall along the southern border, a project she once opposed and called un-American during the Trump administration. Axios is telling us that Kamala is pledging to build more border wall. But have you heard Kamala pledge that? I haven't. Her handlers are just saying she's going to build border wall, just not as much as Trump wanted. Does Kamala Harris know what the Kamala Harris campaign
says? On tips. That right there is the first thing. But then again, though, most of us already knew that this campaign was going to be fake. Let me give you guys an example of what I mean. There recently came out an article, well, not actually an article, but it was a post that included an article in it with the headline, Kamala Harris has 400,000 campaign volunteers in the state of Georgia. That post got community noted because people oftentimes look at the headline and not actually read the article. The actual article itself only has states that there's only 35,000 volunteers in the state of Georgia, and she only has 400,000 volunteers total nationwide. Okay, so right then and there, you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, this woman right here just continues to lie. Well, what it is that they're trying to go out of their way to pump themselves up more than what they really and truly are. A lot of the polls, for example, indicate that there's a lot of fakeness when you actually look at the actual crosstabs, when you actually look at it, and then you actually look at the voter demographics itself, and you realize that the people who are actually flipping for Trump are actually the ones that physically go and vote every single election cycle, whether it be a midterm or presidential cycle. It's typically voters over the age of 40 that actually go out and physically vote. Trump's actually winning those voters, where Harris is winning the lower propensity, the ones that typically don't tend to vote or can't vote. And she's not winning them by anywhere near the amount of people that she needs to be winning by to actually win the election. Trump's actually making inroads with those voters. But the thing is this right here. The campaign itself is completely fake. You saw what happened right there. She copied Trump's tax on tips, which, by the way, she hasn't said anything about recently. And, of course, she was also the tie-breaking vote, which, by the way, allowed the federal government to intensify going after those who make or earn extra wages based off of tips. You're probably saying, what about the border wall? What about the border spending? Are you going to talk about that? Yes, I will. I'm just going to talk about it after this next segment.
This administration has decided to vilify them and to trade on them for the sake of this president's medieval vanity project called a wall. I'm not going to vote for a wall under any circumstances.
He has decided to vilify immigrants and put his whole political strength around a vanity project called a wall, which would cost taxpayers of America billions of dollars. And by the way, that wall will never get built.
That wall ain't gonna stop them.
No.
No.
This is what killed John Kerry. I was for the war before I was against it.
Once again, the flip-flops, it speaks to her being disingenuous. However, the truth be told is if you actually do your research on said individual, you know what said individual will do if they are given power, which of course is really and truly the meat of this video. But of course, you guys know me. I have to go through bit by bit and counter each piece. Now, the thing you got to understand real quick about flip-floppers is that they normally do have an agenda. The problem is that they're not very good at... how do I say, putting together a coherent strategy, which should tell you everything you need to know about her. I mean, don't worry, we'll get to Judge Joe Brown because you know I love to use him, especially when it comes to the personality that is Kamala Harris, become Queen Harris, as he would call her. The thing is this right here, people who do these flip-flops typically are extremely disingenuous. They're disingenuous on the surface and they're disingenuous behind closed doors, normally because they're indecisive and weak. Now, I want to say something really quick because John Kerry was mentioned once again at the very end. The thing that really bugged people about John Kerry was not the fact that they believed he lied about his Purple Hearts or his military service. It's the fact that he went overseas and bashed U.S. personnel while in France doing an interview and then came back and basically joined the Vietnam War protesters in protesting not only the war but the troops themselves. Now, I understand that a lot of those Vietnam War protesters were not protesting the troops, but they were also protesting the war. However, John Kerry, on the other hand, did in fact throw the troops under the bus. We'll talk about that in another video. We'll do a story on that. I'll probably put it on one of the other channels, as you guys can obviously hear my voice is starting to go. But the thing is this right here, the flip-flops just signal how disingenuous a person is. Now she's talking about, okay, border security and a border wall. You've been the border czar for the past 4 years. You've been in this administration. Everybody knows you're the current vice president. Only the dumbest of the dumb will look at this right here and say, oh, well, I guess she's different from Biden. She's not any different from Biden. There's a reason why it is that Biden selected her as the VP. Granted, outside of BLM saying you have to take somebody of color, which, of course, that right there is obviously in question. But as I've said before, if you look at her actual personality, who she really and truly is, the first thing she would try to go for if she was the president would be some form of crime bill and probably gun control, and she'd probably go to the extreme on that. The fact of the matter is this person is absolutely incompetent, and I think even the military-industrial complex knows this. And if you think the military-industrial complex runs this nation, then obviously what Jesse Waters was saying about her getting pinned down and them having their way with her is actually true. But there is more to discuss. And that, of course, which needs to be discussed is the stuff that was in the 7-minute segment itself, which, of course, will be in the description box. And I'll tell you guys some of the stuff that was brought up. The fact that the Biden team could never get on the same page with the Harris team, the fact that they did not know what she was going to say, that right there may make you think that maybe she's a fly by the seat of her pants type person. But given the fact that this particular campaign staff has agreed to one debate against Trump, and they demanded that the mics be, let's just say that the mics be unmuted, versus the exact same debate style that Trump did against Biden, which of course helped him out, which of course Trump was demanding. Now the Harris team comes back and says, we demand notes and a teleprompter, which should tell you how bad she would be at debating, how awful she is at staying on message. And then the turn right back around after that, they eventually agreed to the debate as is for September the 10th. The difference is that the moderator of the debate is extremely good friends with Harris, so obviously shenanigans could in fact occur. But still, though, at the same time, though, given the fact that that debate that's coming off on September the 10th has got basically the same rules as the debate that Trump had against Biden, that right there bodes better for Trump. Now, with everything you guys have seen, you've probably thought to yourself, okay, I think you nailed just about everything that you were trying to say. No, I have not, because the truth be told is this right here. Kamala Harris's leadership style, or her potential leadership style, tells me that she wouldn't be a leader at all. She'd just be an empty suit. Let me explain this for you guys really quick before I get to the Judge Joe Brown to kind of reiterate exactly the points that I'm about to make. Kamala Harris, behind closed doors, say inside that situation room where she would have the most amount of stroke as a leader of the free world, would either A, demand way too much and demand that the military or generals would do exactly what it is that she says. That right there is not the best type of leadership style. You may think that it is, but of course, if you think that is the case, chances are you probably watched Arise, Serpentor, Arise, the episode series that introduced Serpentor to the G.I. Joe series, season 2, where he says, it works out, it's pretty simple, Cobra Commander. I give orders, they obey. That's not always the case. It's a little bit murkier than you think. The truth be told is the men and women will do the job you tell them to do that. However, they will have grumbling gripes a little bit later on, and after a while, they may even lose respect for you. If they lose respect for you, they're not going to follow you. They're just going to do whatever. I think Kamala Harris would be a type of leader that would demand so much ridiculousness out of those who actually understand their field, whereas that she does not understand their field. I mean, this was a woman at one time that said that men and women were going to be carrying solar panels in the combat.
Any Marine today, would she rather carry 20 pounds of batteries or a rolled up solar panel? And I am positive she will tell you a solar panel, and so would he.
They probably would not respect anything that she says, and that they would just do whatever because they know that she's been on the casting couch her entire career.
And my major at UCLA was political science. My analysis is they picked the weakest somebody they could as a figurehead, somebody who had some apparent minority status, which she does not. And what goes on is that you get her, everybody that is everybody would be afraid to go against her because of what she can pass herself off as. And then you get somebody that's easy to control because she's lazy, because she is becoming incoherent, and because she's always tried to do the casting couch to get where she wants. Now, the problem is that'll get somebody to a certain level quickly, but you can't get past that level if you don't have competence and talent. So my thing about it is if I'm crude about it, in this city years ago, I used to represent a whole bunch of pimps and hoes, and I know a hoe when I see one. And I say this, I don't care, women, you do what you want to do if you want to have recreational sex, but when you do the casting couch or anything else for professional purposes to get paid or advance, you a hoe.
And sure, they'll come out and say we're kind of impressed by her, but we all know the real truth. This right here is a woman that's basically been on the casting couch her entire life, like Judge Joe Brown said. And let me also say something else, too, about what he was just saying, she being lazy. Now, of course, I let that clip play a little bit longer than normal because I wanted the casting couch clip played with the lazy clip. The thing is this right here. Number one, she's a DEI hire. She's a diversity hire. She was picked for the most part because of her skin tone. Biden did select her of all the other people he could have chosen that are of a certain race. I mean, you had other people out there that were women of color. I'm not going to go through the list because the vast majority of them were terrible. It just so happened to be that Kamala Harris was, let's just say that she was the least dirtiest of the turds that Joe Biden had to select. And I'm no fan of Biden. You guys know that. I'm very, very much a conservative, very much a Trump guy. The fact of the matter is this right here. He needed somebody to try to appeal to a certain base. Well, in the meantime, you've alienated all the independents, and it looks to me like they ran a base convention that was designed just strictly for the left-wing radical portion of the base, and they're trying to get some independents back, which probably will stay home or vote third party. Or now in the case that RFK is off the ballot and endorsed Trump, a lot of them will more than likely go to Trump because of the things that RFK was actually proposing, food freedom, health freedom. So that's stuff that Trump's trying to work into his campaign platform right now that will probably attract some of the voters. The thing is this right here. People know that she's nothing more than a diversity hire. They don't respect her. And, of course, when she gets into a room with those said generals, they will, in fact, have their way with her. Even if not openly, they will definitely have their way with her behind closed doors, meaning that they will just do whatever and they will not respect her. She can fire somebody. She can remove somebody. But the next person that comes in is going to figure out within about 2 weeks that she's nothing more than a diversity hire, doesn't know half of what the hell she's talking about. And also to go on top of that, she's, in fact, exactly what Judge Joe Brown said. Lazy and entitled, been on the casting couch, and quite frankly, does not know a daggone thing, and nobody's going to take her seriously. But then again, though, there is also one more wrinkle.
She's old, and the problem is what is she supposed to do? Somebody, one of her sycophant slaves, comes up and unwraps her in a carpet naked at Putin's feet, and he says, "Oh, yeah, I'm Julius Caesar." He said, "No, I got better stuff here already. Plus, I don't want you anyway. You old woman. Get on up. You know, or Xi Jinping, is he supposed to be impressed? She's doing word salad. Well, we're here today because China and the U.S. are here today, and that's why we have to agree on what we're doing here today. Like, fool, what did you just say?
Now, what you guys just saw there, you're probably going to think to yourself, was that even necessary? Well, it is kind of necessary because a lot of these casting couch people, and of course, it's also recently came out that Kamala Harris has had to do mock dinners before meeting with heads of state, and that she's oftentimes wanted to do these while inebriated, also drunk on wine, which also tells you that she's somebody who's got high levels of anxiety and her coping skills are probably terrible. The truth be told is that Kamala Harris knows that she got by her entire life by hiking up her skirt. The only way Jesse Waters is doing it is just telling the truth. This right here is a woman who's been on the casting couch her entire career, and she was only selected for diversity purposes. Which is also another reason why it is that many people still believe that the Democratic Party is in fact trying to throw this election. I'm still not entirely sure about that one. But you guys tell me what you think. I want to hear what you guys have got to say. Now, guys, really quick, there's going to be a video out at 12 o'clock. This video right here, I'm probably going to get up right around 4, and I'm going to try and try to get a third video out for tonight. As you guys know, I'm not going to be here on Thursday or Friday, and Saturday I'm probably not going to post anything, but I'm going to try to have 2 videos out for Thursday and Friday both. One on each day, maybe an additional one, depending on how much I can get done today. So make sure you guys stick around for all that. With that right there being said, please leave a comment, please leave a like, please subscribe if you guys are new here. Also share the video, sound off in the comment section, and I'll see you guys later.